Hello everyone, welcome to Empower Fantastic Life. Find your power, live without limits. So today we're settling in for a really special deep dive sharing session. We're going to unpack the core insights from Ron Ball's incredibly influential explainer, Dynamic Leadership Skills. You know, if you've ever felt like traditional management advice, all that endless talk about KPIs, performance reviews, and rigid corporate hierarchies just feels kind of cold or disconnected from actual human behavior, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to explore what Ball calls relational genius. It's a framework built on the legendary successes of figures like Dexter Yeager, showing us exactly how to build massive, self-driven teams across cultures. And the secret? It's not about fear or authority. It's all about authentic human connection.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today's sharing session. We're going to start by redefining the true meaning of leadership. Next, we'll look at the vital difference between a strong ego and a big ego. From there, we'll cover the art of dream building, unlocking potential through the right questions, turning everyday friction into friendship, and finally, how to build a lasting, reproducible system. Think of me as your personal consultant today. We are going to take these high-level organizational theories and translate them into clear, everyday solutions that you can actually use right away.
Right. Let's jump straight into Section 1, the true meaning of leadership. Simply put, it's about influence, not power. We've really got to shatter a common myth right out of the gate here. People constantly confuse managing with leading. Management is about controlling resources and tracking the numbers. But dynamic leadership? That is entirely about influence.
So, the crucial concept here is servant leadership. See, true leadership operates from a foundation of love and encouragement. It's about being a relational genius. Let's strip away the corporate jargon for a second, okay? Imagine you're hosting a dinner party. A terrible host sits right at the head of the table, demands to be served first, and complains if the food isn't perfect. But a great host, a truly magnetic host, they're constantly moving around the room. They're making sure everyone has a drink, checking if the food is good, introducing guests to one another. They literally ensure everyone else is comfortable and fed before they ever even think about sitting down themselves. That is servant leadership. Your value as a leader isn't in your title at all. It's in how much value you bring to the people following you. When you solve their pain points, they're naturally going to want to follow you anywhere.
Now let's transition over to Section 2, which covers a fascinating psychological distinction that trips up so many people in power: strong ego versus big ego. We're talking about the fine line between true confidence and blind arrogance.
And what's really interesting to look at here is that to be a dynamic leader, you absolutely need a strong ego. You have to have firm conviction, deep confidence, and the resilience to handle inevitable setbacks. But, and this is absolutely key, you must ruthlessly eliminate a big ego. You know, the blind arrogance, the self-centeredness, the credit hogging. Think of it like driving a car in a terrible, blinding storm. A strong ego is the confident driver keeping both hands on the wheel, staying perfectly calm, and safely navigating their passengers through the danger without panicking. A big ego? That's the road raging driver, the one recklessly cutting people off, obsessing over being the fastest car on the road, putting everyone in danger just to prove a point. Dynamic leaders are always those safe, confident drivers.
Moving right along to Section 3, the art of dream building, specifically connecting dreams to work. This is honestly one of the most unique and powerful concepts in Ron Ball's whole framework. Dynamic leaders are never, ever just task delegators. Instead, they're active dream-building mentors. First, you've got to uncover what your team members truly desire deep down. Maybe it's financial freedom, more time with their family, or just personal growth. Second, you connect those personal dreams to the daily grind. Let me give you an everyday example to make this concrete. Think about a fitness coach. A bad coach just stands there and barks orders, right? Give me 20 push-ups. But a dynamic, dream-building coach, they know exactly why you're there. They'll say, come on, give me 20 push-ups, because you told me you want the energy to run around the yard with your kids without getting winded. Do you see the difference there? They're linking the hard work to the person's ultimate life blueprint. It completely transforms a mundane chore into an exciting stepping stone for a personal dream. Which brings us perfectly into Section 4, unlocking potential through the power of questions. How does a leader actually interact with their team on a daily basis to make all of this happen?
Well, first off, you simply cannot treat everyone equally when it comes to your personal energy. You need to use what Ball calls the I test to identify your true talent. You must invest 80% of your energy into the 20% of your team who are your committed core, the ones actually showing up, doing the work, and demonstrating a high degree of coachability. The remaining 20% of your energy? That goes to the rest. Think of a master gardener. They don't waste hours pouring gallons and gallons of water on a dead, stubborn stump hoping it'll magically sprout, right? No, they focus their water, their fertilizer, and their care on the green plants that are actually taking root and reaching for the sun. You have to find your green plants.
And when you do find those people, how do you guide them? You definitely don't just hand them a thick manual and walk away. You ask them a direct question, something like, what do you think is the biggest hurdle keeping you from your goal today? The structural power of asking questions is just immense. When you tell someone what to do, human nature almost always triggers defensive resistance. But a well-placed question, it gently opens a closed mind. It forces them to reflect, and when they find the answer themselves, they own it. It makes them feel respected and understood rather than micromanaged. All right, let's move over to Section 5, turning foes into friends using high EQ and empathy. Because let's be real, whenever you're dealing with people, friction is completely inevitable.
In literally any dynamic team, you are going to encounter resistance, complaints, and, well, difficult personalities. First things first, expect conflict. It's totally normal. Second, and this is absolutely crucial, you have to look past the surface behavior to find the root psychological need. Let's completely de-jargonize this for a second. Dealing with a highly difficult, resistant adult is remarkably similar to dealing with a crying toddler. Seriously. When a toddler is screaming in the middle of a grocery store, they aren't usually acting out of pure malice. They're acting out because of an unmet underlying need. They're hungry, they're tired, or they feel ignored. Difficult adults are often exactly the same. Their aggressive or stubborn behavior is usually just a mask for feeling insecure about their job or desperate need to feel valued and heard. When you approach them with genuine empathy and address that underlying hunger for security or attention, it's amazing. You can magically turn a bitter foe into your absolute strongest supporter.
Finally, we enter Section 6, building a lasting system to scale your impact. Personal charisma and high EQ are fantastic, don't get me wrong. But if you truly want to scale your impact, you need a macro concept of long-termism.
Let's see how this all builds over time. Dynamic leadership ultimately aims to create a fully reproducible system. Day 1, you're establishing daily habits. Month 1, you're standardizing core skills. Year 1, you are actively cultivating leaders who can then go on to lead other leaders. And long-term, that creates sustainable asset income, a self-running organization. It's basically the difference between pitching a tent and building a brick house. A tent is fast. You can throw it up in an hour using a quick burst of enthusiastic energy, but the very first strong wind is going to blow it right over. A reproducible system is like building a sturdy brick house. It's slow. It's methodical. You lay it block by block, standardizing every single process so anyone can do it. But once it's built, it withstands any storm and lasts for generations. And that is the ultimate goal of dynamic leadership.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I really want to leave you with a thought-provoking question, something you can apply directly to your own life right now. How will you encourage someone today? What is one specific action you can take today to serve or encourage someone in your life? Laying the very first brick of your own dynamic leadership. Think about that magnetic dinner party host or that inspiring fitness coach we talked about. How can you be that person for a colleague, a friend, or a family member today? Remember, true leadership is built in the daily details of genuine human interaction.
You've been listening to Empower Fantastic Life Jaeger Empowerment Academy. See you next time. Bye-bye.